We're going to unpack an item in Malta. This is a piece of beautiful art from England by Mary FEDDEN. It's just been framed, and I need to photograph it and put it on my website. Unfortunately, I have to take off all the wrapping they just put on it. It's just been delivered, and they wrap everything very carefully. So it's a shame I have to take it out, but I have to take it out, and I'll show you this picture. So we've got a watercolour by Mary FEDDEN. Now, Mary FEDDEN was married to Julian Trevelyan, and they both visited Malta frequently and spent quite a lot of time here, and both of them painted the island. Trevelyan painted more perhaps than FEDDEN. And there were two 20th century artists very much in the ascendancy in terms of both price and popularity. This picture is not a picture of anything in Malta. It's a picture of an English church with a spire and a tower. There are these green trees, which are yew trees. Yew trees are an evergreen tree which traditionally were planted in graveyards in England, and they will live up to 1,000 years. The idea of a yew tree is it keeps the devil out of the graveyard. That's the idea. So if you had a yew hedge around a graveyard, it would be a barrier to the devil. That's what they used to say. It has red berries. If it eats the red berry, you will die. If a sheep eats the red berry, it will die unless it is flushed. So in England, if you have a farm, you will probably not have a yew tree. And obviously it's just a thing. If a sheep escapes and goes into a graveyard and eats yew, there will be problems because the sheep doesn't know on the whole. The yew tree is slow growing and is a hardwood with a reddish colour, and it bends. It's hard, but it has flex in it, and that is what they used to make the longbows out of. So if you go to Plymouth, Portsmouth, for example, go into the Mary Rose ship, the ship they've pulled out of the sea, you will see hundreds and hundreds of salvaged English longbows, and the longbows, because they were preserved in the mud, they survived, and they're made of yew, and they're all there with the bindings on, and we can see the grain. So it's English longbow were made of yew. That's a yew tree. That's a yew tree. Okay, we have a gate which is called a stile. The idea of a stile is it has a step so high off the floor. The idea of the stile is you don't have to close the gate. It's an open gate, but it is livestock proof. The sheep doesn't understand how to get through it. It's narrow and it's raised, so the sheep can't get through it. The lambs will get through it, but they will always come back to the mother. So that is a stile, S-T-I-L-E, in an English graveyard. That is a ram, has a horn. It's not a girl sheep. It is a male sheep, a ram. So we have the ram, we have the yew, we have the church, the spire, we have the moon, we have the stile, we have the wall. We have the signature, FEDDEN. We have the date, 1983. It's a long time ago now, 1983. And this is a watercolour. It's on a piece of paper. We've had it framed just to keep it safe, really, and to allow people to handle it and look at it. So I'll sell it in that frame. It could have a different frame, of course it could, but for me, I think that's adequate. So when I see that there, I'm getting a double dose of England. The thing about the longbow is that when the English were fighting the French in Agincourt, there was a battle where the longbow was the new weapon, and the English longbows were 6 foot tall, and the bow was 6 foot tall, and it took a strong bloke to draw a longbow. And the habit in France and the habit in England to that point had been fighting set piece battles facing each other, and there was an order of fighting relating to the procedure of fighting, and the nobility were involved, and in a way it sort of slowed down wars. But what happened with the English yeomanry is that in England the time came when all of the ordinary people became like a militia. So in each town the town would be told, you have to have 100 bowmen, you have to have 20 bowmen, and they would train. And then when the wars came, when the battle came, the king would say, right, you send all your men who are all trained and strong. And they would get on the boats, go to France and make war. But because the French were in armour and they had these old-fashioned ways of fighting in the open air, in open plains, when the English got there with these yew longbows, they were yeomen. They didn't have horses. They just had a load of arrows and a bow, and they would scurry around the battlefield. They'd go up the side and round the back, and they would lob these arrows onto the French, and they would kill the horse, and then they would kill the rider of the horse, etc., etc. So that the English had this new weapon, the longbow. They were mobile, they were agile. They didn't get tired because they weren't carrying armour. The French got tired. They got stuck in the mud. They couldn't see out of their helmets, and the Battle of Agincourt was a big win for Britain. England, sorry, I keep saying Britain. A big win for England, and it was put down to the longbow. And talk just one last factoid. In England, that symbol to someone you're arguing with is based on the two fingers which are used to draw the string of a longbow. And the French would capture English soldiers sometimes, and they would sell them back. They would sell the soldiers back to the English. They wouldn't necessarily sell them straight back to the English. They would sell them to a third party, and then there would be a deal, and there would be a swap. And the English, once upon a time, would do that to the French to say, we have our fingers, because the French used to cut those fingers off. The soldiers they sold back to England, and the French were very big on ransoms. They actually sold Joan of Arc to the Burgundians, and the Burgundians actually sold Joan of Arc. So you have a very strange situation where one of the biggest legendary people in France, Joan of Arc, the lady who was burnt alive, she was sold by the French to the English. There were different French though. So it's about treachery and it's about violence. Okay, I'll shut up. Thank you.